you all are here today for the game design webinar. I am Dr. Ashley Brown, and I'm the admissions tutor, as well as being a lecturer on the game design course here at Brunel. So first, I'm going to introduce myself. The slide moves on. Yes, good. And I would like you all to introduce yourselves as well, but obviously that is not going to be possible. So for now, we'll just be a little bit rude, and I'll just introduce myself one-sided. So that's me, a photo of me in the labs. There is a drawing of me as well. This is how I write my books and articles. I write it with a quill and ink on parchment, clearly. But as I said, I am the undergraduate admissions tutor for the game design program here at Brunel. And I am an exceptional module award winner. So every year my students vote, well, all students here at Brunel vote for exceptional lecturers, and I won the 2015 award. So in addition to teaching game design, I'm a crowd pleaser of sorts. In my research life, I'm research active. I'm an academic with a doctorate degree. I research sexuality in games, and recently my research was featured in Vice magazine. So you might have seen my name around and about. If you haven't, I am not at all offended, but I also do teaching, speaking engagements at places like Nine Worlds, Geek Fest, Worldcon. I have spoken at Video Brains more recently. I'm a member of the Digital Games Research Association, where I'm the secretary, and I generally get around and talk about games. But that's not why we're here today. We are here today to talk about the game design course. So if you had a chance to come to one of our open days or applicant days, you might have seen this infographic before. If you have not, don't worry, I'm going to talk you through it now. Hopefully, I realize that perhaps through technology, through the broadcast, it's not going to be super clear. You're not going to be able to read the titles, perhaps. But this is what our game design degree program looks like generally. So everyone takes, even joint single honors, we all take the same first year. And I'm going to focus on the first year of the degree program, which is that one at the very bottom in light purple. And I'm going to walk you through that. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the second or third year because we'll worry about that once you are on the course. I'm also going to briefly mention, I see a few more people have joined the web broadcast. If you missed out on the first few minutes, because we started very promptly indeed, do not worry. This video, when we're all said and done, will be uploaded, and you can get a link to that from the website, I presume, or you can email me for a link. So you'll be able to go back and see what we covered first. Pretty much you haven't missed anything important though, just me introducing myself. Okay, so for the first year, we start off with a class called Game Design 1. Surprise, surprise, we in a course called Game Design, the first thing we teach you is game design. So in the first year game design class, you start off looking at board games, and you look at the rules and mechanics behind board games, because it's very literal, isn't it? When you get a board game, you get a rule book, you can see how the rules are written, you can see how the game functions. When we move on to digital games, that becomes a little bit more complex because rules are hidden within the structure of the game. It's more about what goes on behind the scenes. So we start off with the basics of game design, and then you have something called Game Studies 1, Introduction to Game Studies, which is what I teach. So in addition to learning the fundamental design behind games, you will also learn what has been written about games. So we look at not only you take a historical context class also in your first year, but we also look at kind of leanings toward games, what's been written about games before, what are games, what is play, what makes games fun, what research has been written about hot topics concerning games, like violence in games, and we deconstruct those arguments and learn to think critically. Then you have, if you are a single honors student, for both single honors and joints, you have Digital Prototyping 1, which is wireframing. Then you have Digital Prototyping 2 for just the single honors, which is the ludic sketch. Then you go on to have Asset Creation 1, which is Art Fundamentals. So I should mention now that this course focuses on game design in terms of mechanics, level design, etc. But we do offer some modules on technology, and we offer some modules on art. So I want to be clear because some programs, degree programs across the United Kingdom might say game design and mean game art or asset creation, but we actually mostly focus on the design of mechanics and on the games themselves with some modules for art. So what this means is if you are not fantastic at art, you're not a phenomenal artist, or you can't draw for toffee, don't worry. The art component of the course is quite minimal if you choose it to be. But you can additionally take more art modules if that appeals to you. So Asset Creation 1 is about the fundamentals of art, and really this gives you a background and understanding of what you need to know about art to communicate to your art team should you become a level designer, game producer, etc. Then we have, for single honors, compulsory historical context module, where you get a bit of history about the British game industry in particular. That gives you some context to where we are today. Then you have business context, which teaches you CV writing, interview skills, the practical things that you need to know to have a career in the industry. And finally, business context is compulsory for everyone. So if you haven't worked it out, the stars mean it's compulsory for everyone. So that means joint honors. So if you're doing games and creative writing, for example, if you're doing games in film and television, everyone takes the stars. Only single honors take the mushrooms. So creative development is for only single honors. And that is about looking at fun, strange, weird, creative games that we wouldn't otherwise get a chance to study. So for example, we looked at gestural gaming, which is, if you think of like how the Wiimote is used, it's games that use, it could either be folk games or even some digital games which use an embodied kind of gesture to play. We also looked at alternate reality games. We played an alternate reality game. But basically it's a chance for lecturers to expose you all to the weird and wonderful games that otherwise we wouldn't cover in our curriculum. It's a very fun class. So as I said, there's 4 key components. I think I skipped over digital prototyping 1 and 2 for no particular reason. So that introduces you to the more tech aspect of the class, of the course. Digital prototyping is about starting to learn how to use the technology and software we use in the course, and also basically the tech side, fundamental tech side of making games. So those 4, so we have game design, game studies, game art, and game technology as being the 4 kind of pillars, if you like, or core strands to the module. So in the second year, you'll have compulsory modules that you must take, but then you will have optional modules which each focus on either art, theory, design, or tech. And you get to specialize your degree in that way. Then in the third year, you have 2 compulsory modules, but the third year is really your chance for independent work. This is where we let you go off and do your own project, make your own game, do your own study, etc. So that is, I should mention, before I move on from the course side of things, so that's an overview of the flavors of the course, but there are no exams. So one of the things I want to mention real quick. We do not grade you based on exams. We grade you based on project or classwork or essays. So it's all coursework related. Okay, so there'll be a chance for questions. I see people are asking questions now, which is great. I'm going to actually do the question session at the very end of the webinar, and that's just in case maybe I cover it in the presentation, or maybe Oscar, my student here, who's going to talk to you all about what it's like from the student perspective, he might cover it as well. So I'm just going to hold off on answering those questions till the end, but by all means, please feel free to use that question box and write questions. Okay, so our space, not going to blow you away here. It is a room with a bunch of computers in it. This is our game lab, where the magic happens. The This is what it looks like. This photo was taken during the Global Game Jam, so you might see a few tired-looking faces there. Not much else to say. We have other spaces. We have, I'll get to this. I have more pictures. This is exciting. I forgot I have even more pictures. So this is primarily where the teaching happens. This lab you have 24-hour access to, 7 days a week. All of the computers have the software that we use on the course already preloaded. You can socialize in there. Since the space is open 24/7, students will often go in to play games and do Steam night socials, play League of Legends, etc., etc. But that's what the space looks like. And then to talk a little bit about our equipment for you tech heads out there who are interested, we have an Intel i7 processor on each computer with dual monitors, a Bamboo Wacom tablet for art and drawing. Each computer has 8 gigabytes of RAM, an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 770 graphics card, and pretty much I've never run into any issues playing any games in the lab at top spec. Maybe Oscar had a different experience, but for me, well, you agree?
No.
Yep. So you can pretty much play anything you like. The computers are good enough to play it at full spec. They're updated, roughly speaking, every year, maybe every 2 years, depending on when the tech comes out. These are, again, pictures from the Global Game Jam, but you can see the dual monitors and the tablet setup. And there are 27 PCs, but we're gaining space and equipment all the time, which is pretty much dependent on student use. So this is in our main games lab. Then we have the flat room, where you can see clearly we have a lot of fun playing board games. This was done at a photo shoot. Yeah. The flat room has around, this is a guesstimate, but I'd say around 2,000 pounds worth of games. It's probably more than that. It's a very conservative estimate. We stock up with board games every year. We buy what comes out new and exciting, not only for inspiration and to give you ideas about game mechanics that are new and interesting and how we might implement them in digital games, but also because board games are still a thing and they're still fun. We host board game nights as well every year where we all get together and eat crisps and play games together, which is a fantastic way to bond. But again, this goes back to, there is a pedagogical reason, if there are any supporters or parents listening in to this webinar. There are pedagogical reasons to play so many games, and that is because we can kind of reverse engineer, okay, how did they do that? Why is this fun? Why is this interesting? And that helps us in our design. So the flat room is a room with board games in it and tables for playing games. In addition to this, we also have a quiet room, which I don't have photographs of, because it is essentially the flat room, but with some computers in it, 2 or 3 computers, Xbox, PlayStation, a few consoles, a few old retro consoles, a few TVs, where we can also play games, but it's also reserved as a quiet space. So if you want to do coursework in peace and quiet, because maybe there's some League of Legends tournament, whatever you call it. I confess, I'm not a League of Legends player, I'm sorry. I play many games, League of Legends is not one of them. But I hear those tournaments get quite boisterous. So if you want a quiet space, we have that space downstairs. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos of that. So moving on to the scary real-life questions, employment. So you might be wondering, what kind of jobs do our students get once they leave here? Well, we have students all over the place. We have students at Rovio, Square Enix, Lionhead, BBC. We even have students who recently did an internship at Hasbro, which is quite interesting. So one of the questions I sometimes get is, oh, but isn't the games industry unstable? Well, we still have the board game industry is still going, right? So we have students who've worked for Hasbro, Rockstar, Ubisoft, Mediatonic, King. We currently have someone, a former student at King. Not only the big names, but we also have students at independent studios or smaller studios as well. which is quite interesting. So in terms of what job, what role do our formers, past students, or students who have graduated and have their degree, what kind of jobs do they get? Everything from junior game designer to junior level designer, to gamer level designers, to producers, and so on and so forth. When you start off after your degree, usually you're looking at something like junior level designer or junior game designer. But obviously, the longer you're in the industry, the more you can move up. So our employment statistics, if you look at our website, it might be a little bit difficult, maybe a little bit misleading, because we don't actually collect statistics specifically about game design. We're kind of lumped in with other subject areas because game design is still too new to collect statistics on, right? No, we're pretty old now, but anyway. So what kind of jobs could you get if you don't become a level designer or a game designer? Well, actually, we are quite notable here at Brunel. Our program stands out. We're quite a bit different because we allow you to take those options that I talked about before, and you can specialize your skills. So in addition to being able to design, produce, and market games, we have classes on user experience testing, games user research, general research skills, arts administration, academic research, general presentation and software skills. Those are transferable skills that an employer looks for. This is a proper university degree. This is not like a practical qualification. This is a proper university degree, and university degrees carry with them a bit of weight, right? So you can show that you not only know how to read and write, but that you can talk eloquently, that you have good, effective communication skills, which are really important, not only in the games industry, because you need to be able to talk to your artists and talk to your coders and programmers, but in general, these are good transferable skills. So the average starting salary, I believe, is listed on the website of being £20,000, but again, that's probably a bit skewed. I'm not sure I have a fixed statistic on that for you, unfortunately. So just go ahead and move on. Extracurricular activities. I mentioned that we do board game nights. So the upper left photograph there is from one such board game night. It's again the flat room, which we sometimes have classes for smaller classes teach in the flat room. But there we are, all happily playing board games. We have at the bottom left, again, a photo from the Global Game Jam. So Global Game Jam, I think you all probably know, it's an international event. You can look it up. They have a website. But for 48 hours, from Friday until Sunday, game designers will lock themselves in a lab and do nothing but make a game for 48 hours. Eat lots of pizza, drink lots of coffee, drink lots of energy drinks, and make a game. So you can actually go on the Global Game Jam / Brunel, I think it might be. Or if you type in Global Game Jam Brunel into Google, you'll come up with our website. You can see what we made this year, last year, and previous years. We also offer, for those of you interested in the study side of things, we offer research evening. So this year was the Digital Academy Research Night, which was university-wide. Anyone researching digital media could participate. So some of our students who are researching the user interface, mechanics and design behind successful MOBAs, for example, presented their research, which is very exciting. And in addition to this, I have forgotten to include a photograph because I am forgetful. But we had over the summer internship called Octopus 8, which is in-house, in the lab. And you can look up Octopus 8, octopus as in the animal, and 8 as in 8 legs, for more information about that. That is an internship we run during the summers here on campus, so there's that opportunity as well. Maybe not so much an extracurricular activity as such, but that's something to do during the summer break to keep your skills fresh. On Wednesday afternoons, we offer guest speakers, guest lectures from industry professionals. We have gotten in a variety of industry speakers from a variety of companies. We've gotten game designers, senior managers, artists, journalists, PR experts, IT directors, literally all walks of life from the game industry. We invite them to come in on a Wednesday afternoon and talk to you, essentially. So not only to give you a practical slice of what life in the game industry is like and what they do, but also to talk to you about how they got there, and occasionally even run workshops. So this past autumn, we had Rebecca Levine, who wrote Road Warrior and currently writes for Zombies Run, which is a very fun running game, if you have heard of it. And she actually did a workshop where she walked students through how to write a chapter for Zombies Run, which was really phenomenal. So, you know, an industry expert on writing for games gave a workshop teaching you how to write for games. Quite fun. We also had William Pugh, who is relatively notable for the Stanley Parable, come in and do much the same. We did a small workshop with Unity with the students. So just about every Wednesday during term time in the afternoon, we'll have a guest speaker come in and either run a workshop or do a lecture of some variety, which is a good opportunity to not only learn from industry professionals, but also to network. I promise you I am nearly done. I've been talking for a long time. That's what lecturers do. They like to talk. So before I pass off to Oscar, who will be much more entertaining to listen to, I am sure, I just want to go over the key points of why you should study game design at Brunel. Number one is that we focus on game design. So I think I said earlier, some degree programs might say game design, but really be about game art. But we are game design through and through. So each module you take, even if it's tech-based, or even if it's art-based, or even if it's theory-based, it still focuses on games, right? So your key readings, for example, will always have, be about games. So yes, you have to read books, but those books are about games. And that's a good point as well. So if you were interested in the course because you wanted to become a games artist or a programmer, this might not be the course for you because we focus on design. So that's something to think about and consider as well. We don't have exams, which pleases a lot of students. All of our assessments are course-based, work-based, coursework-based, is what I want to say. We have a fantastic community here. We have lots of social events, lots of STEAM nights. I occasionally go and do fish kills on Team Fortress 2. It's a great specialty of mine, is hitting people with a fish. We also do board game nights. We have research nights. We have academic nights as well. The staff here are all fantastic. I only introduced myself, but believe me when I say that everyone here either has extensive industry experience, in addition to an academic degree, or are exceptionally good researchers in their field. We're all cutting edge. We're all clued in. We know how the industry works and operates. We've been there, done that, and then wrote a book about it. Our students will probably tell you, maybe, I'm looking at Oscar, that our staff are extraordinarily accessible. We tend to be in our offices, which are located right around the corner from the Games Lab. So you could literally throw a piece of pizza and probably hit us with it, but please don't do that. I am not a fan of cheese. It burns. This is a cutting-edge discipline, game design, where, like I said, we're all clued up on it, and there's new things coming out every day, new technologies, and we're as cutting edge as we can be. This is a course which, even though there's no exams, I want to stress it is a very creative course. It will stretch you creatively, whilst at the same time giving you transferable research, presentation, and pitching skills, which are valuable within the industry and also outside of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass over to Oscar. I'm going to move the microphone, so my apologies if it makes a scratching noise at all. And then after Oscar is finished, we will take questions. So hopefully that wasn't too bad.
All right, I keyboard. Can I use that?
Yeah,
probably. So just so you know, there might be some overlap here from what I'm saying to what Ashley has just said.
Hi, I'm Oscar. I am from Sweden, and I am a first-year single owner studying game design at Brunel. I'm a bit older than the other people in the first year. I'm 25, which I think makes me the oldest person in the course, even though not. Never mind. But this obviously means that there we go. This obviously means that I've done a bunch of things before coming here. I'm from a small town in Sweden, but I've lived and worked in both Stockholm and Dubai, in a car rental company and a search engine optimizing company, respectively. And since Sweden is a part of the European Union, it means I get full grants from home to go to university here. So why did I choose Brunel? So even though I spent these past years working, I've always known that I wanted to pursue a higher education. And the reason I chose Brunel is because, like you, before I chose university, I did a bunch of research. I looked up a lot of things, and from all the courses that I looked at, Brunel seemed to be the game design course here seemed to be the one that sort of offered the things I was looking for. Because as like Ashley said, it mixes theoretical practice as well as hands-on very well. And it means that you'll have you get both the practical skills to be successful in the game scene, but also like the theoretical knowledge that you pick up will really give you an edge above, people who do a game design course on a local college, for example. And this coupled with the fact that I lived abroad, and I believe that moving broadens your perspective and makes you a better person. Sort of drove me to move country once again. Since I've always wanted to live since I was a kid. Visiting London, I wanted to live here, and since it was located sort of around the area, I felt like this was the right choice for me. The course. So these are the modules I've done in first year. I'm not going to go into any sort of particular yet because Ashley's already talked about it. But they do mix. They're a really good mix between theoretical learning and practical learning. So, for example, asset creation 1, you learn all about sort of art fundamentals and stuff, and you will learn to draw. If you're like me and you can't draw, you'll be able to progress from stickman to doing other stuff. And what's nice is that's something that's also very good. It's they don't expect you to know anything before you come here and start doing any work, which was something a lot of courses, especially if you want to do art courses, they expect you to be able to draw before you, or at least kind of be able to draw before you come, or have some understanding of what you're going to do. There's nothing like that here, which just makes it really accessible. And the fact that you get to start making games, so even like right out the gate, you'll be making games. During this year, we made a board game. I made a wireframe for a game, which kind of makes two previous games together, which was Battlefield and Minecraft, which was a really interesting mix. And I'm currently working on a prototype, which I'm trying to sort of wrap up right now. And that's been work across three of the modules. So it's the game design module, the digital prototyping module, as well as the art module. It's mixed all those modules together, which has really allowed me to it allowed us to really put a lot of effort and a lot of time into the prototype, which you can see at the quality of the things that people have made, even though it's just first year. Like a lot of the stuff is really, really good. But aside from making games during in your coursework, if you're like me, you want to make games in your spare time as well, which is why I signed up to do the Global Game Jam in January, which is, like Ashley said, it's this 48-hour game competition. I don't know if you call it. It's a competition. But it's not a competition. It's just
Marathon.
it's a marathon.
You never cross the finish line.
It really is a marathon. So it's this. You get into a group and you make a game over the course of 48 hours. So the lecturers helped us host it here in the labs, and the university was really nice and provided us with food and drink over the whole weekend. We were actually able to finish our game. You can see my group up there. I see the PowerPoint has squished my slides together really nicely, but that's me to the left, Adam in the middle, and Harry's up on the right. That's a screenshot from our game. You can actually go onto Global Game Jam website and play it. It's awesome. You should actually go and try it out. It's completely free. But like Ashley said, on Wednesdays usually, especially at the beginning of the term, Chris usually organizes sort of game nights. We'll play board games. Someone has run some art workshops as well. So one of the students, and now in the second term, some of it's been student run. One of the third years we have had game tournaments on Mondays, where we played sort of Smash Brothers and Nidhogg and all that sort of stuff. But all of these games ranges from playing Civilization for hours. Yeah, like 10-hour marathons playing Civ, but all this, the fact that the lecturers really come and play games with us, and really it creates sort of a sense of community, both across between you and we create a good relationship between you and the lecturers, as well as between all the years. First year, second year, third year. I mean, after a few months, I didn't really even think about what was the third year or what was the first year anymore. So it's really like a small family, almost. Actually,
Your picture.
Yeah, Ashley mentioned the summer project as well. Some of the lecturers from internship during the summer at Octopus 8 Studios, which is, I believe they co-own it. And this is, I'm going to participate this summer, which means that, what it effectively means is I'll have a published game on my CV even before I graduate here. Which does, it sort of helps your prospects when you sort of start looking for jobs after you've graduated. But also, you learn about the whole production pipeline of the game. And also, you'll take the game from idea to finished product, which is, it's going to help you a lot if you do it. And I think it's going to help you a lot. Well, I'm sure it actually. But outside of the lectures, I've been working at a pub nearby. The Water's Edge, the one down the right. Because you need money. I got that job by myself, but if you need a job, the university has a jobs office that can help you get one around here. There's a lot of stuff to do. A lot of my friends work either at Sainsbury's or another pub, or there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to do, and the university can help you. The university there's a really active student union. There's loads of societies. I'm part of the Target Shooting Society. We meet up once a week and go shooting 22 caliber rifles in Weisler, which is really nearby. They organize full bore shoots, clay pigeon shoots, trips to Bisley for NRA shooting events, which is really fun. I really recommend joining the society because it helps you connect with people with similar interests. Just helps you meet new people in general. There are also a few students who are trying to organize set up a tabletop, or what is it? What do you call it? we're trying to set up a society at the moment, which we're going to play D&D, we're going to play Pathfinder, which will hopefully be active till you come along if you decide to come in the fall. I'd highly recommend you do it because it's a lot of fun. It does take a lot of time though, just be aware. Aside from that, all these things I like to go out with my friends. That's me down there on the right. Well, to the right, absolutely right. That's Harry in the middle, who's another first year, and one of my flatmates from the left. The student union runs a pub where you can play pool and participate in the pub. They have their own pub quiz and karaoke nights. There's also a club, student-run club, nightclub on campus called the Academy, and there is also in Uxbridge a club called Liquid. That's just a short walk away from it. This is Bishop's Complex, where I live. It is one of the halls of residence here. I included a picture of the kitchen as well as one of the rooms. I had to choose a generic picture because my room is never that tidy. I was a bit like, when first moving I was a bit unsure how I enjoy living with 9 other people. Absolutely, because I've been living on my own for a few years. But it's really been one of the best things about coming here, and I've become really close friends with all my flatmates. So I think, I highly recommend living in halls because you make a lot of great friends, and it's a really fun experience. But there is a Costco on campus, which is where I go if I buy a pack and meet up or anything. There's also a small shop, a student union run shop, where I get my morning coffee before I go to lectures. There's also a few places to eat, like Subway, Costa, Yardbird. The campus is fairly compact. The campus is everything's very concentrated. You'll never be more than 10 minutes away from anything, which is very nice. But if you want to go, if you go grocery shopping, I usually go to the Lidl, which is just off campus. That's where I do most of my grocery shopping because it's cheap and it's not far to carry. Right, I hope that gives you at least like a tiny glimpse into sort of what life's like here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me during the Q&A. All right.
Okay, I'm going to move the mic down, so sorry if it's noisy. Okay. We're actually on Q&A now, so I think we already had a question. Okay, so we have one question straight away, which is, in year 2, it says we choose 2 from the options. So I guess you guys could read that slide, which is great. I was worried that the text would be too small. So we choose 2 from the options. Is it possible to do more? No, unfortunately, and we get this question every year. Unfortunately, it's not possible to do 2 more, or to do more than 2 options during your second year. So you have to be really selective and think. Number 1, what are you interested in specializing in? So what do you want to appear on your CV when you go to interview for a job? And number 2, what project, for your independent projects in your third year, what type of project do you want to do? So if, for example, you wanted to do a commercial games project, then you might consider taking more design classes, maybe something like setting and world design. So that's something to think about. It forces you to think about your big, scary career when you graduate. Right. Please feel free to ask more questions. There's a question box and you just type it in. Type in your question and send it on through. And don't forget, you can also ask Oscar questions. He's still here. I haven't thrown him out of the room. Okay, so are there any prior recommended achievements? So we do ask for GCSE maths because there is a math component to the course when we talk about games and economics, game economies, that's what I mean to say. But don't let that, if you're like, oh, maths, don't let that scare you. It's really quite simple. We do have a maths requirement to the course. Other than that, we we don't expect any kind of prerequisite. We don't expect you to come here knowing a particular piece of software. We don't expect you to come here knowing anything about design or having any kind of digital media background or popular media background. We don't expect any of that. In fact, what we do here is so different to a lot of programs. So occasionally students will come in saying, I've done game design at college, but this is nothing like what I learned. Well, usually, I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit. But that's because we use a very particular software. It's called Multimedia Fusion, ClipTeam Fusion, which you can go and get a free trial of online if you want to have a play around with it. Steam has it. Oh yeah, I forgot Steam has that. Yeah. You can get it on Steam. You can go have a play around with it. It's a visual programming language, so it's very basic. But the reason why we use that is because it's quick and easy to use, and when we're in the classroom, we're not fussed with having a product that comes out really polished and really awesome, because we're just doing coursework, right? We want something quick to show the design fundamentals and the principles of design. Now, when it comes to building your portfolio with Octopus 8 or with the Global Game Jam, then yeah, you want something a little bit more polished, and there's ways to do that, and you learn that on the course. But we go for a simple software suite for precisely that reason, so it's accessible. Okay, so the next question is, so you said we could play games in the lab. I was just wondering, like, if we played World of Warcraft, can we download it onto a computer in the lab and play there? I know there's WoW installed on some of the PCs. Can students do that, or do you need an administrator account? Have you ever tried to install them?
Yeah, you can. Steam games are fine. Steam games usually work, but you can, because there's League of Legends. I'm not sure if World of Warcraft is installed or anything like that. But if you need clients to install clients, you need to ask. I usually gone to Mario, which is one of the lecturers, and he's then forwarded that to the computer department, which comes and installs it for you.
Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. So Steam games are fine. Actually, ironically, I have the same, I think it's a university protocol, because I can't install games myself, so I have to get an admin to come do it for me. But yes, so the short answer is yes. Any game you want to have on the computer, A, is probably already there, and B, if it's not there, you can easily get it installed. You just need to let one of us know. So before any other questions come, I will ask one of my own questions, because no one's asked it yet. It's a common question. Occasionally get asked, are there placements, or do we offer any kind of industry internship? And the answer to that is no. So we don't do a sandwich year. We don't do any kind of placement year. We don't do we don't have a built-in internship. And there are many reasons for that. Number one, we have guest speakers that come in, which is in some ways a better way to network and to find your own internship and decide what you want to do. Number two, we have the Octopus 8 in the summer. So, I mean, technically, yes, there's an optional internship, but we don't encourage you to take a gap year between, say, year 2 and year 3, because part of the reason is because we don't want you forgetting what you've learned. MMF is a visual programming language, as I said. It's quite easy to pick up, but it's also quite easy to forget. And it's not just MMF. You'll be looking at things like the whole Adobe suite, Maya, other art programs, pieces of software that you'll need to know. And it seems a bit silly to say, but over the course of the year, you could forget what you've learned. And that might be devastating in your third year, which is mostly project-based. So summer internships, we encourage students to apply for. We have a notice board where we post up any that we see, but it's mostly up to you to get your own internship or to apply for our on-campus Octopus 8 internship. Are there any more questions? I hope you didn't deter anyone. I said, ooh, calm down. I was teasing. I like questions. I'll go over the grade requirement while you're all thinking. So currently we have, if you look on the website, we ask for BBB at A-level or distinctions at BTEC. We typically don't go much lower than BBC if we go into clearing. We also typically don't go into clearing. It's quite a popular course, which is good. Trying to think. Any other questions? Anyone have a question for Oscar? Anything about student life on campus? See what a student thinks? Oh, I think this one's for me. How many students are in each year? About 40 to 50, depending on the year. I think overall we have, over the course of 3 years, currently we have somewhere around 120 students, and we have 6 lecturers. So actually it's a pretty good student to lecturer ratio. I know other programs actually have much higher student intake. It's a highly contested course. Something that people fight against us. Why does game design exist?
It's like contested territory.
I just think of Warsaw and Gulch. So by contested course, I would like to ask for clarification. Do you mean highly, like it's in high demand, lots of people apply? Lots of people do apply. All through UCAS, first thing we go for are grades. If you could give me clarification to what you mean by contested, I'd love to get more specific. For the moment, I will move on to the next question, and we'll come back to the contested course question. So this question says, this is about the requirements. The IB requirement is at 30. Just about read. While the math SL requirement is a 5. What if the overall score in the end was, say, a 35, but the maths was lower? Would we be denied? That is a fantastic question, which I will direct you to our very kind central admissions to ask that question. And the reason why is because I know almost nothing about IB requirements. For international type requirements, that has to go through a general, this is very, very legal, it has to go through a general body that recognizes overseas grades. So I must apologize that I cannot directly answer your question. It's a fantastic question, and Central Admissions would love to help you with that. Okay, so we got clarification. I feel like a radio host. This is fun. I want to host my own radio audio. So for the is it a highly contested course, what the question meant is, are there many applicants for the places available? There are. But we are looking to increase the amount of spaces that we offer because we are increasing the amount of space we have. We're a growing course, which is good. But it is competitive, and the first thing we look for is grades. So grades are quite important. So make sure you get those final exam results in. Make sure you do well on those. Generally, we don't go below BBC. Okay. How much group work is a part of the course? Ooh. Good question. Not a whole lot, but I will let Oscar answer that question because he's lived through it and survived.
We have 2 group projects this year. First is the board game, which is sort of the first assessment that we had to do for the game design module, which is a 5-person project. And then there was the presentations with the pictures for the companies, for the business context module, which we just finished, which was it depended, it was different from group to group. We were 4 people, but we had to pitch a game to a prospective company. Well, the lecturers sort of pretended to be a company, but that's sort of the gist anyway. So 2 in first year. I don't know about second year.
Second year, I might be wrong, but I don't think there are any group assessed group projects. Of course, we're only talking about group projects that are assessed. And then in the third year, there's an option to do, currently, there's an option to do a group project as your final assessment, but you by no means have to choose that. And you would need to develop your group prior to coming in and talking to lecturers about doing a group project. Well, that's in your third year, and that is far down the road. I will note that in our everyday lectures, we sometimes have group work, quote unquote group work, which is a chance to work together and think together, but it's non-assessed. So you will work with other people because guess what? In the games industry, you work with other people, but not all of it is assessed, if that makes sense. Okay, so another question. What companies have come in for the presentations in the past? Off the top of my head, we just had someone in from Failbetter who made Sunless Sea, and they have a new game out, Fall in London, I believe it's called. They were just in last week. Other than that, we've had folks from Mediatonic. I'm trying to remember last year.
Peter Morgan.
He came in to do a guest talk, but I'm not sure if he stayed around for the pitches. But yeah, so for industry people coming in to do presentations, we've had a wide variety. And guest speakers, we've had more. Give a couple minutes for any follow-up questions. We can go until 5 o'clock, should you want. No pressure, no pressure. Of course, if we end this webinar today and you have a question, or you know, as soon as we stop streaming and you go, oh no, why didn't I ask this? My email address, which I should probably put on the screen, my email address, you can email me any kind of questions, and I will be more than happy to ask. Oh, look, there it is. I was clever when I made this PowerPoint. So there's my contact information. If you wanted to send me a letter, you could. You could snail mail me, fax me something. But it's more efficient to just email me. So that is my ashley.brown@brunel.ac.uk. Anytime you have questions, you can email me there. And I'm more than happy to answer. Do you have any questions for me, Oscar?
I'm trying to come up with something, but I don't think so. I'm going to make my grades for that.
Yeah. You just submitted your coursework. I have questions for you about the Rifle Club, but we have another question coming. Okay. If you had ideas for games to create, what kind of post-graduation job position would you be looking at? So for game ideas, I would presume, so a lot of people, when they say game ideas, what they mean is kind of ideas for a narrative of games. And if that's what you mean, then you'd be looking at something like a game writer, which is why there are quite a few students who are keen, particularly students who do the joint degree with creative writing. They're quite keen on becoming games writers, which is why we get folks like Rebecca Levine in to talk about how to write for games specifically, because that's what she does for a living. But we cover narrative a little bit throughout the course. So if you're looking at ideas in that narrative sense, you'd be looking at a job of a game writer. So in that case, it's important to build up your writing portfolio. If you're looking at ideas in terms of mechanics, so you found this really clever energy economy with a really cool core gameplay loop that you think would make a fantastic tablet game, you'd be looking at, if you wanted to develop that further, you'd be looking at a game designer, junior game designer role, or a junior level designer role. How many mature students typically take the course?
We're a few. This first year it's me, Harry, just 4 of us, I think. Yeah.
It's about 10%, a little bit less than 10% of our intake is mature students. So not so many, but we're definitely amenable and friendly to mature students. And there's definitely a
that's also, I mean, mature is a definition. I'm 25, but I'm not very mature, so, you know.
Who is? How much support is there to start our own indie development company after graduation? Fantastic question. So there is a site on campus called, I've forgotten it, the Hub, Brunel Idea Hub, I believe it's called. So there are fantastic opportunities that Brunel offers whilst you're a student and also after graduation, but actually it doesn't have anything to do with games design necessarily, but is open to any student at Brunel. So they offer things like foreign language courses, which I actually took this year. It's open to staff as well, so you can learn a foreign language in your spare time when you're here. But specifically about starting up an indie development company, they have this business idea hub that is in the ground floor of the lecture center, and you can literally just go in there and talk to their business experts. And we've had former students actually do that because they were interested in the legalities of setting up a studio in the United Kingdom and also a studio in the US, and they were given fantastic advice about how to secure intellectual property here in the UK and also overseas, and just really they were helped out quite a lot. So that service is offered through the university. In addition to, of course, us having independent developers come in and give you lectures on how they set up their own independent company. So you get a slice of how it's been done in the past, but you also get the support of the university to actually achieve them as well, if you were thinking of doing that. So, all that being said, I think we are about to wrap up with only a few minutes left. This is your last chance to ask any question during the webinar. Of course, you are always more than welcome to email me at any point in time. So just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a pleasure to have a chat and to answer your questions, and I hope you'll consider coming and studying here with us at Brunel. Thank you.